With overcast days more likely in the UK than blazing sunshine, does investing in solar make sense? Well, many people see that solar is an easy and straightforward first step into self-generation and renewables. And with annual savings in the hundreds of pounds, payback periods can be under 10 years. And even here in the UK, where the sun isn't always shining, the skies aren't always blue, with the right setup, you could be generating on even the gloomiest of days. Here's how. Welcome to the Everything Electric Show. Solar panels will all come with a rated power, but the power that you will actually generate is impacted by roof aspect, orientation, geography and weather. And so maximising the amount that you can generate, that all comes down to efficiency. And maximising that efficiency, that all comes down to choosing the right setup. So first, a little science lesson. Solar panels work by converting photons from solar radiation into electrons and then into electricity. Now, solar panels are made up of a load of photovoltaic or PV cells, and those are what converts those photons into electrons into electricity. But that electricity is in DC or direct current, and in order for that electricity to be used by your home or in the grid, it needs to be in AC, and that is the role of the inverter. Solar panels start working as soon as they start receiving light, but the inverters need a minimum voltage before they can convert that electricity from DC into AC. Now, with a typical string array, you would have a single inverter which has a startup voltage of around 200 volts because it's managing that whole array. But with microinverters, where you have an individual inverter on each individual panel, you can get away with a much smaller startup voltage, around 20 volts. And that means that you have a much bigger operating window in which you can generate electricity from the solar panels. So for example, when you have low light conditions in the early morning or later in the evening or on cloudy days, you can still generate electricity. And the impact of that is that you generate so much more over a much bigger window. Today, we're in Oxford with Heatable to see a microinverter system being installed. And going up there are these, the brand new Fusion 2s from REA, which come from the factory with an AC module already integrated. And they have been designed specifically for low light conditions. And they are currently the most powerful ACM panels on the market.
Essentially, this panel has been designed to harvest any energy that's in the atmosphere and convert that to usable power for your home. So these are from REA, so they're an Australian company, and this is their Fusion 2 panel. So it's a 440 watt Bifacial. It's also N-type, which is the cell construction, and it's got something called HJT, so heterojunction technology, which is a triple layer cell, and it activates in very low light conditions. But this panel is also paired to something called an Enphase MicroInverter. So you can buy Enphase microinverters individually, but this particular panel features the IQ8 ACM, and an ACM is a panel where it's got a built-in microinverter. So as a unit, it comes pre-made as a production and also a conversion facility in one.
So what we're looking at here, I'm presuming this is one of the microinverters for just the panel.
Yeah, so this is the IQ8 HC ACM, and that's the cradle that it sits in. So this is a different version than you would normally get with Enphase because it comes with this cradle, and this cradle is bonded to the panel. These are your DC outputs, so you've got positive and negative, they're going into here. And the only cable to come out of here is AC. So it's another benefit of microinverters is they're super safe. So everything is alternating current and it's protected by an RCD. So there's no risk of high voltage fires or any sort of arcing. So it's a really safe solution. And then this is the panel. So this is the rear of the panel. So we were talking before about it being the same on the front and the back. These are the exact same cells. These ones are a slight blue tinge. And that's because REA being REA, blue is a more absorbent colour for production. So on the back where you can't see it, they make them blue, but on the front where you can see it, they're black.
Ah.
And this is the clear intersection here. So if I put my hand behind there, that's where the light can get through, can be absorbed on the rear, and this is the full unit, yeah.
Talk to us about bifacial, because that means that sunlight can be absorbed on both sides of the cell. However, if a solar panel is against a roof, What's the point of that?
So REA's philosophy is about harvesting as much light as possible. So on the back of a panel, usually you'd have a plastic back sheet and it's a wasted space. What REA do, the cells on the front are identical to the cells on the back, and the intersections, the bits in between the cells, they're a clear glass. So what that does is allow light to transverse and it's collected on the rear. Now the front of the panel is 440 watt, and the REA don't quote any more power than that because that's what the baseline production will be. However, on the back you can get an extra 20% of energy harvesting.
So if each panel has its own microinverter, what happens if one of them breaks? Does it impact the whole array?
Now, this is the benefit of the system, is each individual panel is a power plant. That's how we look at it. So they are wired together in terms of they'll share the same power line, but Enphase technology is really advanced. So if you have a problem with one panel, you'll be able to see it on your map of your roof that that panel is either gone offline or is producing less power, but importantly, it doesn't affect the rest of the array. And you can get all sorts of issues with solar. You could have shading from a tree that's grown over the life of the system. You can have fouling on a panel, and sometimes you get failures. The benefit of this system is that the rest will produce. On a traditional system, if one panel fails, they're like Christmas lights. So if one fails, you have to find the one and get it back online. It's the same analogy with a traditional system, but with Enphase, they're all individual.
And you mentioned that you can see which ones are having challenges. Is that an app, or how does that work?
Yeah, so as part of the system, we will build an array on someone's roof. So that array will show each individual panel and they're all addressed. So you can see the production, you can see the performance of the panel, you can see what it's done over a lifetime or in that day. And it's one of the challenges with solar. Not everyone knows what their system should be producing. If you've got a standard system and your production looks low, you wouldn't really know what's causing that. With this system, if your production is lower, you can look at the map and say, I've got a problem with this panel, and 99% of the issues are software. So it can be rebooted, restarted, production comes back online.
Tell us about some of the challenges of installing solar in the UK.
The main challenge is the perception that it doesn't work here in the UK because it's not always sunny. Obviously right now it's just about to rain, we've got some clear skies over there, and I think clients are generally off-put by an investment that might not make a return, but it can work. You just need to have the right products that can work in a lower light condition.
One of the things we haven't spoken about is price, and I'm assuming that the Fusion 2 with individual microinverters sounds a little bit more expensive than a traditional array.
It is more expensive, yeah. So for the panel, you'll pay about 10% more than a traditional sort of N-type solar panel. When you combine it with a microinverter, you've got an inverter per panel, so that does increase the cost. However, the production, the lifespan of the system, it starts to pay for itself pretty quick. It's like owning an EV. If you look at it over the total cost of ownership, this system will produce more energy. You're going to get a longer warranty, so you're going to get 25 years on the inverter and the panel. And because it's an ACM, that's one warranty and one point of contact throughout that period. So you do pay more, but you get more back in the long run.
So where can people go to find out more information?
So Heatable is an online company, so you can do it pretty much all online. So if you go to heatable.co.uk, you'll find our solar draw tool. So this is a tool that our in-house development team built, and what it allows you to do, enter your postcode, tell us a little bit about your energy usage, and then you can draw your roof. And that draw tool is really accurate, so it'll give you how many panels you can fit in that space. Interestingly, about the Heatable tool, we'll give you a fixed price online, and we don't ask for any personal information. You can save your quote if you want, but if you just want to find out how much it costs, you can do all that online. You don't have to speak to anyone, and it will be for these REA panels.
But if people do want to speak to you in person, in real life, I hear you're going to be at our live show in Farnborough.
Yeah, so we're going to be at the show in October, and we're going to be bringing this panel, so this 440 ACM will be at the show. So if people want to learn about the product or they want to ask questions about solar, they can come down, meet some of the design team, meet some of the technical team, and we'll talk them through the various options that we have from Heatable.
There's no escaping that investing in solar is a big investment, but it's also an investment in clean renewable energy, reducing your reliance on fossil fuels, a brighter, cleaner, greener future, and yes, of course, it is a financial investment too. But with payback periods under 10 years and product lifespans of 25 years, that's 15 years of free energy. And with setups like we've seen from Heatable, with Fusion 2 REA bifacial panels and microinverters from Enphase, you're maximising the amount that you can generate. And there's a bonus too. More and more home buyers are seeking out properties with those cleaner, greener investments. And studies have shown that these kinds of technologies can increase your property's value by 20 to 25%. Absolutely huge. Now don't forget that Heatable will be with us at Everything Electric Live in Farnborough on the 11th, 12th, 13th and October, so definitely come along and say hello. If you've enjoyed this episode, please do like and subscribe. And if you have been, thank you for watching.